Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. Welcome back to 30 Teams in 30 Days. We're back for day 4, and we're going to be talking about the NL West one more day. Today, we're going to be talking about the second place team, the San Diego Padres. The Patty Daddies in 2025 went 90-72. Unfortunately, their season ended in the wildcard round to the hands of the Chicago Cubs, and while they have made the playoffs for the last 6 years, this was their earliest exit ever. 2025 was also the Juicer's best year since 2023 when he was nursing a wrist injury and was suspended for PED use. All of his numbers went up. His strike rate went down by 3 points, so he was down to 21%. He also added 25 walks, so while he wasn't hitting home runs, he was having a better eye at the plate. However, steroids cannot make other guys get on base, so his RBIs did fall. On the other hand, Manny Machado may not have been a steroid user, but he is still a pretty terrible human being because he has absolutely no morals, values, and ethics while playing the game. He continued his output total of 21 plus home runs dating back to 2015. He also was able to continue an 85 plus RBI output dating back to 2015. We exclude C20 because no one wants to remember that year anyway. It's going to be important for Machado to continue to produce offensively, but his arm, holy cow, he's got an arm. We've seen that in Baltimore as a Yankees fan. I saw it a lot, but he did lead the team in errors with 16. Holy cow. He also led the team in strikeouts, but he only had 131. That, again, is not terrible at all. Keep in mind, I'm a Yankees fan, so I've seen Aaron Judge and Stanton whiff like 200 plus times, so 131 is absolutely nothing to me. Shifting over from the hot corner to the not so hot corner at first base, Gavin Sheets was an absolute gem and pleasant surprise for the Patty Days this past year. Coming over from the south side of Chicago where he was hidden away and no one really cared about him because who cares about the White Sox? He improved every single stat except 4 strikeouts. He only added 1. And he stayed the same with stolen bases. He did better with better people around him. He's going to continue to occupy first base, outfield position, and or DH different points in time during the year. Another pleasant surprise, I guess, was Luis Arias, who, still unspectacular with his counting stats, doubled his home runs from 4 to 8. Arias also increased his RBIs by 16, his walks by 10, and cut his strikeouts by 8. He only struck out 21 times in 2025. Holy cow. He also added 2 more stolen bases. However, all that positive regression per se did come at a cost. His batting average did fall below 300 for the first time since 2021. I wouldn't say these next few guys were subpar, but they've been around since for what feels like forever. And while they did hit a few milestones, they're just unspectacular. Jake Cronenworth, steady presence at second base, never sexy. Not going to win you a game, but probably won't lose it. Did see his ratios increase, so obviously he did do well with the batting average, but there were some other stats that suffered, like home runs and hits and RBIs. The important things, the counting stats that help you win games. Cronenworth also increased his errors by 6 and is up to 10 for 2025. That's not great, especially with his production going down. He's definitely seeing the wrong side of the fall on the side of 30. Moving to the other side of the Keystone, Xander Bogaerts also on the wrong side of 30, but still producing. For the first time in his career, he hit 20 stolen bases. Wow. And he bounced back from a pretty terrible and underwhelming 2024 to finally get back to his 30 plus doubles. In fact, the only times in his career that he did not get 30 doubles was 2014, his first year starting with the Red Sox, and 2024, when he was out for a very large period of time throughout the year with injury. So it's not all bad, okay? Cronenworth and Xander Bogaerts, they're not the sexiest, but they're waning years, and declining stats in some areas could be, a driving factor to maybe look elsewhere. Now again, Bogaerts absolutely returned to some type of relevance with, again, the 30 doubles and, again, out of nowhere, the 20 stolen bases. So he could be an option at some point in time, maybe later in the draft if you need a second baseman or shortstop, but you should not and cannot be your starting second baseman or shortstop anymore. I can just imagine the person y'all are next waiting to hear about their decline or unspectacular performance is Jackson Merrill. As someone who drafted him very high in the draft, I was disappointed. And I can only imagine, being a Padres fan, how disappointed you were. Now, granted, he did have injuries. There's nothing we could have done about that. But Dropping from 150 games down to 115, you can absolutely assume the stats suffered, and they did. Not as much as you would think, though. Though he missed 41 games, he only dropped 6 doubles, only dropped 8 home runs. He did drop 20 plus RBIs. That's not great, but the biggest factor, other than his increase in walks, was his drop in stolen bases. He went from 16 in 2024 to 1 in 2025. Granted, he hurt his ankle. That may have had something to do with it, but Jackson Merrill should have had a year to recover, and he should be able to get back to the numbers he was in his rookie year, because that sophomore slump is real. Let's hope we take a junior jump back to the numbers we were at, or at least that's what the Patty Daddy fans are hoping. We're going to shift on over to the pitching side of things, and it's going to be vital for anyone who's not a Padres fan to listen closely and be happy that there were some things that did not allow the Padres to continue moving forward in the playoffs, because they were only 3 games back of the Dodgers, the juggernauts, and the pitching rotation is what cost them. Okay, there were some absolute studs and duds in this lineup. Main stud had to be Nick Pivetta. Great first year in Cali. People are so worried about Pivetta moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, 13 wins, 19 quality starts, 2.8 ERA, and a sub-1 whip. That's not bad at all. Dylan Cease, on the other hand, did have another dud of a performance, having a good year followed by a bad year. Now, even his bad years are decent in some standards, but his main source of value comes from his strikeouts. Let's be real. That's where he gets most of his value, because the ERA is going up to 4 or 5, even more at some points in time. On top of that, 1.3 whip, definitely not going to keep you in games. Again, the strikeouts were 200 plus for the 5th year in a row, but he did give up 70 walks for the 3rd year in a row. So, yeah. That's not good. Cease, you got to figure it out, man. This upcoming year, 2026, is supposed to be a good year if you continue your pattern from good, bad from 2021. So, for my sake, I hope it's another bad year, because you're with the Blue Jays now. For the Yankees' sake, I hope, again, it's a terrible year, and I hope you get shelled. But, yeah, if for some odd reason I have you on one of my fantasy teams, I hope it's a pretty good year, at least when I start you. As we move on to the other main 5 guys in this rotation that did start games, you'll see kind of what I mean by this pitching rotation just absolutely crap the bed and cost this team. Like, it's not like they weren't getting some run support. They had the juicer. They did have some other big names in there, and they were getting runs, but holy cow, dude, this pitching rotation was terrible. Starter number 1, Yu Darvish, just started 15 games. Started the year on the IL and had a 5+ ERA. Next, Randy Vasquez, while you did accumulate 9 quality starts and have a 3.8 ERA, which is pretty respectable for a non-spectacular guy, you did have a 1.3 whip, and you walked 52 guys in 133 innings. Next, Michael King, you did make 15 starts. You also made multiple trips to the IL. You were on pace to come up 25 innings short of the same numbers you had last year. You only had 73 innings pitched this year. You weren't going to be close to what you were last year. Also, some of your stats did increase, while some of them did decrease. You're also on pace for less strikeouts and wins, but also on pace for less earned runs, less hits, and less home runs. So I guess that checks out, but still. Next, come on down, Stephen Kolak. You started the year off, second game of the year. You had a complete game 5 hitter. Woo, look at you. Then you very promptly came back down to earth, giving up 15 earned runs and 16+ innings pitched the next few games. So, yikes. Didn't do any better until you were traded. Then you also had a 5+ ERA and not a winning record. So, next, as we move from something that was not at all exciting and absolutely downright disappointing for the Padres to something that was absolutely on lock for the Padres, that's the bullpen. Robert Suarez was the main closer. He had 75 strikeouts and 69 innings pitched. Obviously did pick up several saves, more than several saves. But yeah, you thought that was scary? Let's move on to Jeremiah Estrada. The top hold guy for them and the main setup man for Mr. Robert Suarez. But let me tell you, he had 108 strikeouts and 73 innings. Wow. So he upped his Ks, upped his innings pitched. His ERA and whip didn't take too much of a hit either. Holy cow. But don't go anywhere, I'm not done yet. Adrian Morejon was a key piece in that bullpen as well with 20 holds. Absolutely blowing guys away, getting a 2 ERA with a sub-1 whip. He also led the team in wins with 13. So, as exciting as those 3 were, let's be real. Who are we here to talk about? Who is the guy in that bullpen everyone wants to see? Mason Miller. His 2025 actually started off slow. He had 3 blown saves and a 3.7 ERA with the A's. Then he came on over to the Patty Daddies, and through 61 and a change innings, he had 104 strikeouts and a sub-1 whip, along with a sub-1 ERA, a .7 ERA. He will be the main closer, the only closer in San Diego next year, and that's kind of exciting to think about because we're going to see that flamethrower do even more on a much better team. I hate to say it because I like the Athletics, but much better team. Now, we talked about all those flamethrowers. We talked about those guys who absolutely had key pieces in this run for the Patty Daddies. But one of my favorite guys, Jason Adam, this guy was a mainstay on my fantasy teams. He had 29 holds, 1.9 ERA, 1.1 whip, 70 strikeouts in 65 innings. All that pressure that he could take off the other individuals in the bullpen. He didn't get to go to the playoffs. Ruptured his quad tendon and did not get to play. He should be back relatively soon to start the season for the Patty Daddy, so that's good for them, but even better for me because I'm going to be looking to get him in my fantasy leagues that have holds and saves. Well, we've gotten to the point where we're talking about the fantasy assets, get to the top prospects, and the bold prediction. Let's talk about the people who left. Ryan O'Hearn was a first base outfielder they had. Luis Arias was their second baseman. Jose Iglesias was the guy who could play all over the infield, but didn't quite see much time at first. And I would also say you lost some depth in that rotation and some frontline starters in Dylan Cease and Nestor Cortez if he can stay healthy. You also dropped Randy Vasquez and Steven Kolek. On the other side, because Mike Schilt left, they brought in Craig Stamen. He is their new manager. But then, the names that they brought in, let's read them. Joe Musgrove, not that he's back on the team, but he's back from injury, and I'm excited for that because I have him in some of my teams. Miguel Andujar, all the way back to the Yankee days, he has made his presence felt elsewhere, most notably with the A's this past year. So he's going to be looking to play a little bit of third or outfield because, you know, Machado's got third base pretty much on lockdown now. Also, Nick Castellanos, I think he's going to be able to make a big impact if he can get on the field, if he can get his focus back, and I think he's going to. He's pissed he was let go from Philly, even though he made sure to let them know he wasn't excited about staying there. And then they also brought in some depth in that rotation. Not the sexiest names, but they've had success at different places. Jermaine Marquez, Walker Buehler, and Griffin Canning. The big name they brought in was third base KBO home run monster Seung-Man Song. Now, I did say he is a third baseman, so Machado's not going to be displaced. Could he play first? Where are they going to put Gavin Sheets? Is he going to play outfield? I don't know. Could he DH? Probably. Now, he does have errors. He had 14 at the third base position last year in KBO, but he also does come with some power. And over to the prospects, Ethan Salas, number 77 out of 100. Still very young, still producing at the minor league level, but still developing. He's going to be good. He's special. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him come up. Gonna see if I can grab him in a few leagues, especially dynasty leagues, but yeah, still only in AA, still going to take a little bit of time for him to get up there. Second top 100 prospect for the Patty Daddies is Cruz Schoolcraft. I could not make that name up if I tried to. Cruz Schoolcraft? Yeah, in any case, he's a two-way player. Oh, so like Ohtani? Absolutely not. Nowhere close. 6'8" frame is going to be a pitcher, so he's going to take his 97-mile fastball. Try not to get it wiped out because right now at the minor league level, he has a 10-plus ERA. We're going to move on over to the fantasy assets. Let me make this simple. You want Pivetta, you want Musgrove, you want King, you probably want Mason Miller. If you're in a holds league, you want Estrada, you want Adam, you want Morejon. Offensively, you want the juicer, you want Casty, in my opinion. At least I'm going to have him in a league or two because he's part of my bold prediction. You're absolutely going to want Jackson Merrill. You're going to want Machado. And I really do think that Bogarts is still serviceable in a 12 to 15 team league. Sheets and Cronenworth might be 12 to 15 as well, but I'm leaning more towards the 15. Now to my bold prediction. Whoever starts at first, whether it be Castellanos or Gavin Sheets, you're going to have at least 30 home runs and 90 to 100 RBIs. This is a good team. You don't have to be a crazy hitter to be able to get the juicer around, to be able to get Jackson Merrill in scoring position, to be able to pick up some counting stats here and there. I also think they're going to have 3 guys with at least 10 wins and a 3.5, I have 3.6, but 3.5 ERA or lower. So maybe not the boldest of predictions, but talking about how bad this rotation was last year, we know Pivetta's going to be one. We're thinking there are a few others that could be in that discussion, but it's going to depend on Joe Musgrove's health and how long he's able to stay in there. If he's able to pick up a quality start, so he's going to be able to pick up those wins. So I think that there are two that are pretty much locks. We got to figure out the third one, and that's where it's going to be a surprise. I don't think it's going to be a reliever, but in any case, that's going to do it for day 4. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the number 1 team in the NL West, the winner of the weakest division in all of baseball, the Juggernauts of LA. I'm excited for another 26 days of this. We're going to have the World Baseball Classic starting next week, and I'll be intermittently talking about that in the midst of my updates for each team. We're going to be keeping track the whole way, seeing if the USA can bring home gold again for us. This is JK Count. Thank you for sharing part of your day with me.